Just gonna stay for the class meeting.
We didn't finish up Harper's Ferry, did we?
We do have this class.
Okay. So we got like
Yeah.
10 minutes of notes. Where are they going in Florida?
Tournament.
I know that one.
Disney, I think.
Oh, they're in Orlando.
I see. That's crazy. Give me the goods.
Oh, we don't have it anymore.
You don't have it anymore?
Well, they don't want to use it anymore because it gets like too close to each other, so it makes a noise. They're just gonna use like this. The
Can you
microphone.
hear me from it?
Huh?
Do I have to speak more clearly?
No, I think you'll be fine.
So the mic thing wasn't working?
It was, but there was like, since they were so close together, there was like a noise.
It made
Yeah.
it echo?
Yeah.
Probably would have been better if we put like the mic's probably at the back of the room.
Yeah.
We have these too.
Is that?
We have these.
I know. Just bring us back into it. Alright, so John Brown is going to plan a raid in Harper's Ferry, Virginia. Now from yesterday, what is Harper's Ferry? Why does he want to take over the town of Harper's Ferry? What is in there?
Didn't
What's that?
God come to him and like he thought God was like speaking to him?
God was speaking to him. Why is he trying to knock off this town specifically?
There is an armory.
There's the armory. There's the National Army of the United States. Okay? And so his goal is this. He wants to take over the town, arm the slaves, and send a revolt all the way down into the South. Okay? The catch here is this. There's no telecommunication devices. So he believes that God, because of his schizophrenia, is going to send a lunar eclipse, so all the slaves know, to go to Harper's Ferry to arm themselves. Yeah, it doesn't work, okay? I know you're shocked, okay? So what happens here is this. 1859, John Brown is going to have this raid in February to take over the town. He's successful in taking over the town, and about 9 hours goes by, no one's showing up. He starts going through the town, hoping that the slaves are going to appear. They don't appear. And at this time, the U.S. military then steps in. And the person leading the detachment of the U.S. Army that comes in to stop John Brown is ironically Robert E. Lee. Okay? Robert E. Lee. What's Robert E. Lee going to be in just like 3 years? He's going to be the general of the Confederacy. Okay? And at this time, he was a colonel in the U.S. Army. If you didn't know, he's actually going to control the Marines. He's going to have an attachment of the Marines. And they're going to come in and stop him. John Brown is going to be captured. He's shot and wounded 3 times. They put him to jail. He gets tried for treason. And he's going to be hung for his crime. And he makes a lot of these big, epic, kind of very religious statements using those kind of ideas of the Second Great Awakening. He's the extremism of the Second Great Awakening. He's the extremism of abolition. And his famous final line is, supposedly the morning of him being hung, makes the statement that the only way the sins of slavery are going to be wiped off the earth is by the blood of thousands and thousands of Americans. Which is scary foreshadowing. Okay, scary foreshadowing. So he's hung. What's the South now very worried about after this event? What are they now terrified of?
More rebellions.
More rebellions, okay? More extreme abolitionists coming in, causing revolts in the South. So they're going to actually start bringing in local, more and more local militias, okay? And the country goes into kind of into a panic mode. And this all kind of transpires the next year with the election of 1860. Now, while all this is going on, all the events we talked about yesterday, a new political party appears on the American landscape, and this is going to be the rise of the Republican Party. The Republican Party, this is something I want you to recognize here. A lot of times, especially, get all three bullets down. I'm sorry, all two. The top two. Don't worry about the sides. What a lot of people, especially the History Channel and other history channels, is they oversimplify what the Republican Party wanted. Okay? Just top two bullets. Don't worry about the sides. They oversimplify what the Republicans wanted in the 1850s. They were an anti-expansion of slavery. Okay, they were not a complete abolitionist party. Why? Anyone know why? Have an idea? Yes, sir.
Because of the economic grounds, because of they completely abolished slavery, it would ruin the economics.
It would ruin the entire economy of the South. So that's one problem, okay? The other issue is this. It's really basic, okay? Imagine if tomorrow President Obama went on national TV and said, tomorrow, because of the environment, I'm going to abolish all motor vehicles. Is that going to be accepted in the country?
Yeah.
Probably not, okay?
Oh, sorry, Ethan. Sorry, you just get to walk in this classroom and tell me what's right and wrong.
Ethan, you're such a bad person.
I brought a gift in for Peter's presents.
Do you?
Yes.
All right.
I already gave it to you.
That's fine. You're good. Anyways, the Republican Party is based off of stopping the expansion of slavery. Their idea is within 100 years, we want to end slavery. Now, do the math. If they want to end slavery in 100 years, what decade does that put them in? 1950s. The 1950s. That's how long they think slavery is going to last. Or what's that telling you about the slavery society in the country?
It's not going anywhere for a while.
It's not going anywhere, okay? And a lot of people think there's no possible way of ending slavery in the United States. So the idea of making a 100-year plan to eventually end slavery, that really tells you how ingrained this is into society. So that's what the Republicans are looking for. And the expansion of slavery. They were anti-Mormon because of the idea of polygamy, having the multiple marriages. They were for Kansas being a free state. They were against the fugitive slave law. And they wanted to create a transcontinental railroad in the center of the country. There were two proposed transcontinental railroads. One the south, from Louisiana to Sacramento. The other one was going to be from Omaha, Nebraska, all the way over into San Francisco. Okay, who would have had more political power if it was in the South? Which states? Which states? What group of states? The slave states, right? Slave states. Now, John C. Fremont's going to run for president in 1856, and he gets a lot of popular turnout, loses the election. If you are, and Southern Period was pretty funny about this, if you've got a political rival, and you want him to disappear, what do you do?
Kill him.
It's exactly what they said. Exactly what they said, word for word.
Duel.
Duel? How can you, without killing the person, or beating him in the legs like Linguini, how can you make him politically disappear? Politically.
Pay him off.
You could pay him off. That's one option. What else can you do? What do actually most people do with their political rivals? What do most politicians do? Well,
Slander?
you can slander and ruin his reputation. Does that always work, though?
Blackmail.
No.
Now, what always works?
Tie them up and put them in a cabin in the woods.
Okay, I'm going to rephrase this.
And threaten their family.
If you've got an NFL general manager, and he hasn't made anyone in the front office really mad, but he's not good at his job, what do most franchises do?
Fire
He
him.
resigns.
They need a better
They don't fire him.
Blame him?
Oh,
They
they
lay
lay
him off.
What's that? No, no, no.
Ask him to resign.
No. They promote him. They promote him up to some different branch of the franchise entirely. Okay? With John C. Fremont, they're going to give him a job. Okay? Now, what job could you do in the United States that would get you so far away from politics you never have to worry about it again? It's kind of like two
Plumber.
options.
Ambassador.
Could be an ambassador. Okay? He's going to be an ambassador out west. They say, go and be an ambassador to Kansas. Explore all the rivers. Here's some money. And Fremont's like, cool. And like, because he was an explorer prior to that. So he goes off and explores for 5 years. So he's no longer a political threat. This is where Lincoln appears. What's that?
I would just sit in my house.
No, it's your patriotic duty to go explore the West. Yeah. So, 1860, there's going to be 4 major people involved in this presidential election. Now, what happened to Hillary Clinton's voting group in the 2016 election? A lot of people in the news media are saying it was, racism, only the white people voted, the voter ID laws were bad. There's something they're not recognizing here that some people are talking about and others are not. What happened during the 2016 election that splits Hillary Clinton's votes, that the close swing states she will lose to because of this person?
Rain.
Well,
Bernie or bus people?
the Bernie or bust people, the Bernie Sanders faction and the Democratic Party is the kill shot of Hillary Clinton's campaign because they choose to do 2 things. What do the burnouts do?
Vote for Bernie.
Well, he's not on the ballot, so you could.
You can still write him in though.
You could write him in, but you're basically wasting your vote. So they got 2 options here. What did they do in November?
Vote for Trump.
Some of them actually do vote for Trump. But they're basically going to do 2 things. You're either going to A, not vote, because they're just so frustrated with politics. Or 2, they're going to vote for the person that's closest to Bernie Sanders.
Oh,
Jill Stein. Jill Stein is going to take just enough of those Bernie Sanders Democrats, just enough, okay? Just enough of the Bernie Sanders Democrats that it's going to shift the election in some of those major key swing states, okay? For instance, Michigan. Michigan, the difference in the voting was 22,000. I believe Jill Stein got 37,000 votes, okay? That's a key shift. Same thing with Wisconsin. Same thing actually with New Hampshire. So Jill Stein splits unknowingly the Democratic Party because of the Bernie Sanders faction, okay? And because of that, whenever you see a party split, they always lose. This is the exact same thing that happens in the 1860 election. The difference here is that instead of it being the Democrats and the Green Party, they're actually going to have 2 separate Democratic parties. The Northern Democrats under Stephen A. Douglas, and the Southern Democrats under John Breckinridge. That's what Lincoln looks like in 1860. Does anyone know the story about his beard?
A little girl came up to him and said, "You should grow a beard."
Yeah, little girl writes him a letter and says, you should grow your beard out because all the prominent leaders have whiskers. And that's what he does. It's true. Like, it's actually, that's documented. That they have the letter, and that's when he starts growing his beard.
I think
Abraham
there's,
Lincoln.
I think there's like a statue of Lincoln and the girl in Westfield.
There is, yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah, there's kind of a double, it's kind of double imagery there. It's either that, it's kind of the childlike image is either the person that gave him the idea on the beard, or it's a memorial to his fiance who dies when he was in his mid-20s. He actually was engaged to be married to a different girl, and she dies of yellow fever, or if you watch the movies, vampires, okay? And, and so because of that, that's really where his depression appears. The other interesting part is they actually made his collar super tall to hide his like giraffe-style neck. He was 6'4". He's really tall and lean. I think he was only like 160 pounds. So he's a really, really lean, thin anyone know his favorite sport was? Wrestling. He actually got into a really violent wrestling match to become the part of the state senate. They came into like this argument, and basically the guy said, "I'm going to challenge you to a duel," and he's like, and he goes, "What shall we use?" He goes, "Unarmed." And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, this is easy," because he's like a big stout guy. Rolls up his sleeves. Lincoln tackles him to the ground and pins him and basically puts him in an arm bar, and the guy taps out. The other funny story, guy actually challenges Lincoln to a duel, and Lincoln doesn't want to fight in the duel, but he knows he has to for his honor. This guy's like really short. He's like 5'6", 5'4", somewhere like that. And he's like, you know, we should go buy pistols. And Lincoln says we should go buy sword. Why? His arms are longer. And guess what happened was when, just before they're about to fight in front of the rivers by the judge, I guess Lincoln starts hacking at an apple way high on a tree. And the guy was like, holy crap. And he calls it off. Pretty brilliant. I mean, he had some brilliant stuff there. Does anyone know what Lincoln's job was prior to politics? He was a lawyer. He taught himself to be a lawyer. He was only in a classroom for 4 months. His entire life. He taught himself basically how to read off a book, a biography of George Washington, and he became an apprentice to a lawyer. He read the entire law book and became a lawyer, passing the bar exam. Yeah. So that's why, like, when people see the picture in the back, it's what I actually have in the back wall, and you have like the rail splitter. It's all a myth. Why would a lawyer split rails for the railroad? Seriously. I don't know, right? Doesn't make sense. But it's kind of like his humble roots, so they kind of like make him into like kind of mythological figure. The other funny part was, during the Republican convention, when they finally say Lincoln's going to be their candidate, they roll down the banner of a different picture of Lincoln, and he looks like death. And they're like, yeah, Lincoln. And they roll down the picture like, holy cow. We voted for a zombie? Oh, man. Right? Yeah, it's an ugly image.
Is he with the Whig Party?
He was with the Whigs, and then he's going to switch over to the Republicans when they change in the 50s. Yeah. So here's the popular vote. Lincoln's going to have the shortest popular vote in U.S. history. 39.9% of the popular vote. Does anyone know who was the second lowest?
George Bush.
Not George, but it was during his election. It was the first George Bush too. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton only gets 42% of the popular vote. Because of, it was H.W. Bush versus Bill Clinton versus Ross Perot. Exactly. Ross Perot was this oil billionaire. He's kind of the first person, he's actually the reason why Trump even gets the idea of a billionaire running for president. Ross Perot runs as an independent, and he's an oil billionaire, and he decides he's going to take national television time, give television specials where he explains his policies. So he's in this like ridiculously rich library. There's like a fire in the background, and because it was before technology, he has little posters that he shows everyone, like the graphs, and how he's going to cut taxes, and how that's going to stop the deficit. Like he just knocks the cards down. It's really, really kind of weird. And he's got this really weird accent. Let me see if I can explain. Now, here's why I'm the president. That's why I should be president of the United States. Okay? Because I believe taxes should go down, not up. Down, not up. Like he'd repeat like that. Which at the end of the sentence is really weird. And like he was on the debate stage, he'd be like, taxes, we don't need taxes. What we need is business. Business makes jobs. Jobs make money. Money good. Money good. Like it was like, what? And like 11 people, like 10% of the people voted for him. It's just weird.
Is it like spelled carrot?
Yeah, it's P-E-R-O-T. Perot, yeah. Now, why do people think they should secede from the country? It's because of this problem right here. Check out California, by the way, like Electoral College was. 4 votes. Remember, they're small, right? Look at PA and New York. Yeah.
Wow.
Whoop, whoop. Okay. Look at Texas. All right, so here's why the South wants to secede. Lincoln is not on the voting ballot for president. You could not vote for him in the South. He wasn't on the piece of paper. You need 250,000 signatures to be on the presidential ballot in all U.S. states. Okay, some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower. That's approximately it. Okay. The only three candidates in the 2016 election that had all 50 states was Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and Gary Johnson. Okay. Joe Stein only had 37 states. Okay. Lincoln was not in any of these states. As in, if you're in Florida, right, you walk out of Disneyland or Disney World and you go say, I'm going to go vote, and you look at the piece of paper, he's not there. He's not there. Okay? And so when the Electoral College vote happens December 19th and they say Abraham Lincoln's president, if you're from the South, what are you thinking? How? And who the heck is this guy? Like, seriously, who the heck is this guy? I might have heard about him once in the newspaper. Who the heck is this guy and how does he become president? This is why some of these states immediately talk about seceding. It's because, like, they're literally doing the hashtag not my president. Because he wasn't there. He really wasn't there, okay? I'd like to get this done. Lincoln's election is going to bring the states into an outright secession constitution convention, okay? The fear of slavery being restricted in both the South, maybe ending the fugitive slave law, and out West is going to be enough for the United States to propose in some states to leave the country. Now, here's the other kicker, and this is something another thing that, like, most textbooks don't tell you because they want it to be all kind of one-sided here. Was secession legal in 1860? Was secession legal in 1860? Well,
No,
why?
because in the Constitution, it says you can't secede.
Doesn't say it. It actually does not say it.
I remember you saying that.
There's a supremacy clause.
Yeah.
There's a supremacy clause that basically says once you're in, you're in. Okay? That's what the North believed. Once you're in, you're in. The South believed it was basically an economic contract. That if you felt like the United States was not representing your country, or your state, you could leave. So in reality, under the Constitution in 1860, it's a giant we don't know. But what it comes down to is the South says we can leave. The North says no, you can't. Hence the war. Okay? Now, when people talk about the Civil War, everyone says it's either this or that. What is always the two causes of the American Civil War? People always say it's about this or it's about that. Slavery is the one. Everyone says it's always completely about slavery. What's the other one people always say? Anyone know? You always say it's either slavery or it's what? Anyone know? They just say it's all about slavery or it's all about states' rights. Okay? The reality here is it's both. Okay? Because it's the state's right to do what?
To secede.
Well, it's the state's right to secede, and the state's right to also continue what? Slavery. Okay, and that's the key here. It's their belief the state's right is to be able to leave the country if they choose to, and to continue on the practice of slavery. And because of this, this is why we have the American Civil War. Okay? Now, and don't get this done. We're actually done. So, these states right here are going to leave very early on. Then the bombing of Fort Sumter, we'll talk about that later on, okay, is going to bring these states to leave the Confederacy. These states never leave, okay? All the other ones do. So we're going to have 11 Confederate states leave the country. And basically what happens here is they legitimize it by saying that the North says these states are not a country, they're in rebellion, therefore we can fight and bring them back. That make sense? And that's kind of how the Civil War starts. All right, guys, good work. Get working on those assignments. That is due tomorrow. Okay?